Welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here for this session because to me, this is one of the most important things that you'll hear is our journey that we're going to go over today. If you forget everything else, I'm going to ask you not to forget this session because this is the session that is going to give you the concept to change and understand communication on a different level. So one of my mentors, Florence Littauer, said something to me that has echoed with me throughout decades of my lifetime. And she said, every word you speak should be a gift to the person that you're speaking to. Wow, that's what I said too. What do you think if I asked you, Clay? Would you say that every word you speak's a gift?
I would say 100 out of 100.
Really? Yeah?
No, my goodness.
Is that why you said like, wow, yeah?
No, but that's profound.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and I think thinking about our words, particularly with our kids, or even the kids that we're around or the people that we're around, they really do have the power of life and death.
Yeah. What do you think, Rachel? Is every word you say a gift to the person you're speaking to?
It is. Just like,
Was that during the break?
I think I just feel the weight of that when you say that. It seems very, just that I need to be intentional about what comes out and maybe what stays in.
There you go. I like that.
Yes, just as important as maybe what I choose not to say.
Because really our words can be a withdrawal or they can be a deposit, right? Right? What do you think when I say that, Brent?
Well, I think of what you're taught as a kid, right? You know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a lie from the pit of hell. You know, I remember my pastor said that mothers, your words weigh 50 pounds, but dads, your words weigh 500 pounds. And when I heard that, and I linked that to what you're saying being a gift, I think of how much weight I've used my words to hurt people, not necessarily help. You know, sometimes I feel that I could be an encourager, and my words could be a podium or a step to help somebody up.
Yes.
But I think I've also used it many times to crush or to shame or to try to get somebody to do things that I wanted them to do, not necessarily what was best.
Yeah. So what a great concept is that.
He said that, but I mean, every time we speak, aren't we I mean, you're trying to encourage, right? Is that your motivation? Like realizing that maybe it didn't land correctly is one thing, but...
I'd love to say I just missed the mark sometimes, but sometimes it was very calculated and precise, and the goal was to wound. And that's...
It wasn't a gift.
It wasn't a gift.
No.
I mean, it was anything but a gift.
Yeah.
It was a...
Because that verbiage is fantastic, isn't it? Like, it's a gift, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think of times where words have stuck with me. I remember I was in 6th grade and I got up the courage to tell a boy that I liked him. He had been going out with this girl who was very, very popular in school, and I envied her a lot. And I found out that he broke up with her, and I was just like, oh, this might be my chance. And it took everything in me. And I asked a friend, and she was like, yeah, girl, go tell him. And so we were at lunch, and she was like, go tell him now. And he was with a group of his friends. And I remember I walked up to him, and I walked up to him, and I was like, hey, can I tell you something? And I wanted to pull him aside, and he was like, no, he's just, you know, just tell me.
He's a 6th grade boy,
Yeah, and so I said, well, I like you, and I wanted to know if you would maybe want to, you know, go out with me or whatever. And he just kind of chuckled a bit. And he was like, no, I don't go out with ugly girls. And I was mortified. Number one, he said it. Yes. Number two, he said it in front of everybody. And it was like the whole lunchroom started laughing. And I remember running out of there just totally mortified. And I've struggled with how I view myself since then. That was so pivotal to me.
Yes.
Because I was identified publicly as an ugly person. And so I kept that. And his words stuck with me for years and years, like to the point where I've had to talk myself out of believing that. You know, I remember I had to turn around and make myself look at myself in the mirror and say, "You're beautiful." You know, those type of things. So just to reverse that. But that happened in 6th grade.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about earlier when we were talking about what if we continued to do this or say this for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. She only had that person say that to her once, and you carried it for decades, right? What about a positive story?
What is it about middle school, right? Maybe those are the words that stick with us.
Positive?
It is positive.
Wonderful.
Positive. I went to a school where I was taking Latin. It was a really high, just high stakes academic school. And I was taking Latin and was not doing very well. I don't know very many 7th graders, 8th graders that are into Latin.
I'm already impressed,
Latin.
though, Rachel.
Yeah, but I really wasn't doing well. And this teacher that I had, we got the midterm grade reports, and it was back when they hand wrote the grade cards.
Okay.
And I remember getting it. I can still see it. And she gave me an F+ and wrote on the bottom, you know, Rachel's not mastered this material yet, but I know that if she puts in the effort, she will be able to bring up her grade and do really well. And I mean, getting an F in my family was not a great thing.
Yeah.
But it was years later that I realized there is no such thing as an F+.
Yes.
She had created that, and it was her way of encouraging me. I mean, the words encouraged me, but I can still see it. Like, even in my failure, I was really failing.
Yeah.
She gave me the courage to keep trying, and I did bring up the grade. I think I ended up with a B, which is probably a miracle in that class, but by the end of the semester. But that, just her words were encouraging in a time where she could have said all kinds of other things that would have probably left me, you know, with just enough.
Yeah.
That's really cool
isn't that cool?
she didn't lie to you. She
That's a
told
great
you the
point.
truth, but she said it in love. She said it in a way
Hope.
where in hope.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you can remember exactly, like you literally said, I can see it, and I
She had
can
beautiful
picture it.
cursive handwriting,
Yeah.
and I can see
Remember
the F
cursive?
with
Latin
the plus.
teacher.
Latin
Of course she wrote it
Beautiful.
I love these stories because today we're going to talk about why the 4 temperaments respond differently to different words. Okay, it's really important, and why some words seem to matter more than others. What we're going to talk about today is key. It's the concept of innate needs. This is what separates what we learn from every other assessment and personality thing out there. Because these innate needs are why you make the decisions you make, why you choose the behavior you choose, why you choose the words you choose, and it's going to make so much sense to you. So let's start with the yellows. The yellows, each temperament has 4 innate needs. The yellows are, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the innate need, and I'm going to give you a definition. But the definition is what I've collected over the course of the decades. It's what I've heard most from that color temperament. But what I'm going to say is, most people, what I want them to do is customize their definition once they really start understanding temperament, but this is going to give you a starting point to understand and ask questions. So I want you asking clarifying questions. So for the yellow, it's approval, acceptance, attention, and affection. So approval means being liked for who they are without needing to change. Acceptance is being invited or included. Now, when we're doing those definitions, sometimes they go, well, I don't know, approval and acceptance, those kind of sound like the same, right? But approval is inward, acceptance is outward. Does that make sense to you?
Like they're getting approval or giving themselves approval, or what do you mean?
Approval for being liked for who they are without needing to change.
Yeah, so I
So-
see the internal sense of that.
Okay.
That you are giving me the stamp, that you're telling me I'm enough, that I have what it takes. And the acceptance feels more social in a way, that it's, you're a
Exactly.
part of the crew. You can come hang with us.
Exactly.
We want you to be there. We want
Yes.
you, because we like you for who you are, we want you to
Because
be
we
there.
approve of you.
And that
we're gonna
would
accept
be-
you into our crew.
Exactly.
Builds on each other.
Because a lot of yellows, remember we talked earlier, they can be loud. You know, they can be a lot. So what they want to say is, love me when I'm loud and when I'm a lot. You know, don't ask me to be quiet.
Tone it
and-
down.
Yeah, to tone it down and just blend. They're not blenders. You know, this temperament doesn't blend. The next one, attention. I love this one. This is having full focus, especially eye contact. And again, with a child, I added being present.
Ooh.
What does that mean, Brent? What does that ooh mean? That's exactly what I want to hear.
Well, I just think about how many times my yellow daughter wanted my attention, and maybe I wasn't fully present.
Yeah.
So, but I think I have learned though over time. My daughter actually taught me how to date my wife.
Interesting.
Meaning, she could tell you what a date was when she was 3. She would say, "Hey, if we pick flowers, go get ice cream, or you paint my nails." That was a date. So if I was all in on that, then I was okay. But there were other times when, I'm working or I'm thinking, and she wanted my attention and focus, and it wasn't there. It was, yeah, beautiful, and
Yep.
push her to the side. And then I could see, the way she left was, wounded.
Exactly.
I'm remembering my yellow daughter when she was little. She would climb on my lap and take my hand or my face in her hands and turn her. Like when you said full eye,
Yep.
like eye contact.
Yes.
She forced it.
Yeah, she would like get in front of me and then, I want
Yeah.
you to look at me. Not like just to engage with her.
to meet that eye contact. Or you have a little one that's just standing there and you're like, no, tell me the story. And they're like, no, I'll wait till you're done. I mean, they'll wait you out, right? Because that's what they're looking for. Even very little. Remember, you're naturally filling these, whether you know it or not. The last one is affection, and it is being noticed or acknowledged. Now, again, with children, there's much more of a physical touch aspect to it. Okay? So, for example, my daughter, she's a yellow. And so when she was about 4, I took her to school and she did not want to leave me. So she clung to me. So we had to make a deal. And we made a 2-kiss, 4-hug deal. And so she was supposed to get 2 kisses and 4 hugs, and then she was to go into the room. Well, this is a yellow daughter. She did the 2 kisses and 4 hugs. She went in the room, and then she got to the door and came right around. She's like, Mom. I go, honey, we had a deal. And she goes, I'm a boomerang. And so I'm going to boomerang and get 2 more kisses and 4 more hugs. Okay. She is now 24 years old, and she still boomerangs. And that's her nickname. Because that is her thing for affection.
Did she boomerang at bedtime as well? Because I have one that does that like.
That's all kids, right?
Yeah, that's all colors.
They all turn yellow when it's big.
No, you talked about approval, and my yellow daughter does. I think it's maybe all of them.
Okay, tell me.
But she loves to make things. She's very imaginative and creative, but she makes things for people. And oftentimes I see her, when she was little, she would make things for me. I remember bracelets made out of the paper and tape in my house is amazing. But all kinds of gifts, bracelets for friends and all of this. But I see her do it for people so that she loves the how it's received.
Yes.
She loves how it's received and how it makes them feel. And that whole approval and then acceptance by making it, then she's known that way and she gets accepted into the group or the the classroom or whatever.
Yeah, and we have to be careful because on the strengths and weakness list, it says that the yellows wear their heart on their sleeve because a big part of the yellows is being liked by other people, right? But as I read through there, if there's not any clarifying questions, I'm going to look this way. Anybody resonate with those? Anybody?
I definitely do. Kathleen.
Do you?
Yeah. All four
Tell
of
me.
them.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like an approval addict.
Yeah?
I mean, acceptance feels like the highest value for me. I relate to your daughter, minus the tape and the
Paper.
and the paper.
And the bracelets.
And the yeah,
You make bracelets?
I mean, I do. I love cooking. I do love eating, but I also love baking, grilling for other people. I love the social aspect of it. And I've never thought about it that I like doing it for other people because I enjoy the approval that I get when I do it.
Yeah.
But that certainly is true. The affection is absolutely true. And it is both physical, but also the eye contact side of that too is a huge deal to me.
Yeah.
I can feel people's relationship. I can feel the relationship in the eye contact.
I love that. Let's see what this might look like for a yellow child.
I love being the center of attention. Like, I love getting on the middle of a stage, like, in front of a bunch of people making a fool out of myself. Like, I love when people give me attention. But, like, I feel like the people who are closest with me and know me the most and, like, instead of just giving me attention, it's more important to have eye contact and be like, hey, like, listen to me. Like, listen to what I have to share with you. I would say is more important with the people I'm closest with.
Yeah. So what do you find yourself doing to get attention?
I find myself doing a lot of things, whether that's video making or playing sports or, like, hanging out with friends. I love making videos personally.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
Just, you know, everyone has their own things that they do or things that bring them joy, but, you know, for a while, like, I make these videos on Instagram or sometimes TikTok where people will be like, hey, like, this made my day. Like, it's really cool, like, to get, like, there's millions of people in this world, like, on social media. Like, that's taking over, like, everything we do today. And, like, for people to scroll, like, and you to get their attention to stop and watch your video and for them to be like, whoa, like, something's different about that person. Like, what makes them think those certain things? Like, that's, like, huge to me.
Yeah.
Of just being able to get one person to look at something.
Okay.
Hey, didn't see you guys there. I'm MacBoyette. For those of you guys who don't know me, I'm a videographer, which basically means I like to make videos. When I make my videos, I like to put in the things that make me me. I love having fun with my friends. I love being crazy, silly, and goofy, and basically just having a good time. And sometimes I can come across annoying. I also love it when people recognize me for my videos. I not only like it when people recognize me for my videos, I like it when people recognize me when I'm having a bad day or I'm just going through something. It makes me feel valued and cared for, you know? That's why I try to put those little things that make me happy into my videos so maybe people will feel the same way. Let me know what y'all think.
So yellow children are going to need these innate needs when they're 5. Remember, we like to do that. 5, 35. Hopefully driving home the point that these things are not going to change, right?
And sorry, but these are not needs because they're weak.
No.
these are just needs because we all have them?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that. These are innate needs. So this is like food and water.
Okay.
This is not like, in fact, I even teach how to use the word need appropriately. Because when you're talking to your children and you say, you know, you need to pick up your socks, not really a need. What you're going to hear back is, no, Dad, I'm going to soccer in 30 minutes. I don't need to pick him up. That's what he's going to hear. But if you say to him, say he's a yellow, oh my gosh, we're going to have so much fun at soccer. There's your socks. Why don't you put them on? Okay? Now that's
Speaking
you've
his
eliminated,
language.
you're speaking his language, and you're using need properly. He needs the attention. He needs the acceptance
That's
from you.
the true need.
So that's the true need.
Which doesn't make yellows needy.
No. No.
They just have
You
need.
need to hear that?
Needed that approval.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
I feel
Even
very insecure right now of all of these dramatic needs that the yellows have.
Well, the needs of the yellow, I'm going to agree with you, do sound kind of needy. They really do. What I want to say, though, is there is something, and you brought it up, culture can be shaming for some of the needs of a yellow. I do think they sound needy. And so I'm actually going to ask this of you, Brent. You happen to have a teenage daughter that you said you thought was yellow. So when you hear attention, approval, affection, if she's not understanding it herself or getting it at home, this is the other thing. They will try to get it filled outside. So what do you think that might look like, having a teenage daughter?
At 16, I don't want her taking those questions to the boy.
There you go.
Right?
Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, these are so crucial to understand the wiring of a person. Do you see? It's so crucial because it's going to reshape every word that you say to your daughter, or you say to your daughter, or Clay, even what you say to yourself, right? So let's talk a little bit about reds. Are we ready?
Are we ready?
Are we ready?
see
Did
what
you see there?
did.
See what I did right
Wow.
there? Mic check. Okay, loyalty, sense of control, appreciation, and credit for work. So again, loyalty means being prioritized and knowing you have their back. The next one is a sense of control. Everybody pulling their weight and following the plan.
They want to pull their own weight, or they
No.
want other people to
They
pull
want
their
other people pulling their weight
weight? Okay.
and following the plan. Because the key words in this one is sense of. See, they get a rap that people think they want to be in control. And most reds do not want to be in control. They want you doing what you're supposed to do. Because what happens is if they walk into some place and not everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, what do you think their first thought is?
Somebody is being irresponsible right now.
I got to fix it.
And this is not good.
No.
There's not much that bothers our daughter more than somebody not pulling their own weight.
And they're wired then to step in and take charge, right? But this is just hitting you directly, isn't it? But do you see the difference?
Yeah, I do.
Right? They don't necessarily.
Sense
That's a
of.
miss. That's one of the myths I love talking about, because they are mislabeled as wanting to always be in charge, and that's not
Do you
necessarily
resonate with
the
that?
case.
Yeah, there's plenty of times I don't want to be in charge.
But what?
But when you see things are not getting done, then that's usually when I snap into, I see less of people, and you become a task. And the task has to be done.
Get the counter cleaned.
Yeah, so we'll worry about feelings and words later. The niceties later. Right now, we have something to get done.
Yeah.
And so even when you say the volume, volume goes down. The coaching voice comes out. All of that.
The coaching voice comes out.
Shorts go on, voice comes out.
All of it.
So the last two are appreciation and credit for work.
Which
Now,
feels
again,
similar.
Which feels similar, right? So one of them is inward and one of them is outward. Appreciation,
I need to know
Inward.
that, yep.
credit for work.
I get
Outward.
it, they know, yeah.
Appreciation, being valued for their unique strengths, okay? This is your determination is inspiring. Somebody might say that and you're like, yeah, thank you. And credit for work is being valued for their contributions. Gosh, thank you so much for helping your brother put his shoes on. When you're talking to a red, they don't really just want a trophy. or a thank you. They want you to know and acknowledge how much work was put into it, you know, that they put thought behind it to make it happen. So these are red innate needs. They are trying to be met by the reds. We're going to see what it might look like for a red child. Let's watch. What if it's not getting done? Like, what happens?
I do not do well when things are not getting done.
Yeah.
So that's a little hard.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, I mean, it can be down to the last minute and that will drive me absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But it's gonna get done.
How does it get done?
Either I do it or I hound someone until they do it.
Oh, yeah? What does the hounding look like?
It is definitely probably not the best way to motivate people.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that I see something that needs to be done and I'm like, okay, we got to do this. And it's just for example, like I had a big thing that I was having for our thespian society because I'm the president.
Oh,
and so, yes. Yeah. And so it was one of those things I was like, okay, I need this from everybody. I needed all of your point system. I get 2 people respond. I'm like, okay, I need this by this deadline, knowing I'm gonna get it 2 days later. I set it up so I would get it by this deadline. A day later, past the deadline passes. I've gotten 3 out of 7 people. Another reminder goes out saying, if you do not get it to me, this is not going out. All of you are aware of this, correct? I get 1 more person, and it gets down to the point where I don't get people. I'm gonna go with what I got.
Yeah, you just move on. Yeah, because you feel like you've given them every opportunity.
Absolutely.
You find out that one of your friends said something behind your back.
Like, what would I do?
Yeah.
Well, I would know that to, like, never trust him again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really believe in second chances with trust because it takes a long time to earn. I mean, I would probably go to them first and just straight up be like, yo, did you say this? And then if I know it for a fact or they tell me, then I just put in the back of my head, okay, you can't trust them.
I would rather have you loyal to me when I'm not around rather than when you are, when I am around you.
Oh, okay.
That is something that, I mean, in a small school, word gets around very, very fast.
Okay.
And so I hear the things that I hear good and bad, what people say about some of the things I do, and it's just, I would rather, it really hurts my feelings when I hear someone, they're like, oh, she's my best friend and I love everything she does, and then I hear from someone else that they're like, oh, yeah, she's not that great, or she does something like that, and that's where that really hits me.
Yeah. And how do you deal with that? Like, what if that's an exact scenario happened?
My walls definitely go up.
Yeah.
I'm a person that it takes a while to let my walls down and let you actually see the emotional side of me and all this stuff. And it's one of those things that if they get almost down and something like that, I hear something like that, my walls go straight back.
Anybody? Does it look like anybody you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My firstborn is now 26, but I can see that from when he was a child to even recently. I kind of put together this work project for all of my parents' grandkids and children to come down to where their house was and to kind of, get rid of old things, just kind of do a nice clean sweep purge in the house. And so they were all down there and I wasn't able to go that weekend. And I remember being in the car and all of a sudden I started getting these text messages from my firstborn, sending me pictures of the work that he had done. And I was just like, what? And it was in a group message, so it was with my other son as well. There was the 3 of us.
Okay.
He's like, Mom, I'm killing it, Mom. Mom, look at this. And he's sending me pictures of his work and, all this other kind of, and I'm like, really? You're 26? Like, you need, and I was like, great job, honey. And I just kept,
Double tap.
And it was so, because I knew, what I knew was, my other child was probably working harder, but this one wanted the credit. Like he wanted look, Mom, look what I did. And even down through when he was a child to now, like he's just like, I want that appreciation for what I did and credit for the work I've done.
But you saw how your son was literally, without him even knowing this concept,
Yeah.
He was organically looking for those things.
Yeah.
See, that's what I really want you to take from this session, is that your kids aren't trying to do this. They're not choosing to do this. This is what they're wired for. So if we know that ahead of time, we can guide and coach and teach them, right?
Our daughter that I've
that we've talked about, yeah.
I really resonate with. I'm starting to understand more, and something I saw my wife do when I talked about the clothes issue, that was always a big battle. And the way ultimately she solved it is she would start saying, all right, at the beginning, I think on Sunday evening, she would say, all right, here are 5 outfits that you can wear this week that are in your closet, and you can pick out when you can wear them.
Yeah.
And even giving her that sense of control of which day she could wear which outfit, it just made all the difference in the world. And I never thought about it as a sense of control, but I think that's what it was. It gave her, it almost like it gave her the reins of her life, which is what she's really, seems like that is, I always just thought, she just wants to be in charge. Or wants.
But remember what we said earlier in the sessions before. They just want that independence. They want to be part of the decision making. They want something to be in control of.
Yep.
So you literally honored her design by letting her pick those outfits. Do you see? I mean, that's really what we want. I hear people say, well, folding laundry is just part of the family. Why should I thank her for that? Well, now you know why. Why not? Hey, I really appreciate you took the time. Use the words right off the innate need chart.
Yeah.
That was a lot of work. I appreciate you taking the time. Or I appreciate you helping your brother learn to fold. That really means a lot to me. So when you speak those languages, we're making deposits and we're building them up. Because here's a key point. These kids are wired for this. So when they're doing it, there's no correction or discipline that's going to change it. Remember when we were talking about expectations, right? And we were expecting, why aren't they reacting the way I want them to? It must be a them problem. I hope you're realizing right now, fixing or trying to correct that isn't going to change. That's not going to change. It's not going to change it, right?
It's just the way.
It's how they're wired, right? So let's talk through the book. Oh, go ahead. Yes, absolutely.
You said in an earlier session about the language that the temperaments each speak.
Yes.
When I hear you talking about innate needs, is that kind of the language that we can speak back to them that's heard best? Like if they're speaking a language out, then this innate needs right off the list is the language and the words that we can speak that they're going to hear most.
Yes.
Or
it's brilliant, actually, because the only way to become fluent in another language is to practice that other language. So literally, these innate needs and the strengths and weakness chart you have in the book, that's your cheat sheet. If you want to talk to that beautiful yellow child, you say, absolutely, you are so creative. I want to give you my full attention. If you just wait for 10 minutes, I would love you to tell me your stories. You're such a great storyteller. Okay. She can hear, that was completely a yellow statement. Do you see?
So for all of us, it's incumbent upon us all in all of our various fields, even outside of being parents ourselves. But, as a boss, as a coach, as a counselor, as a teacher, it's important that we know and understand all of these, because I'm sitting here thinking, for every kid that I see on my client list, I need to be cognizant of, taking the time, first of all, to observe and take in the temperament that they're displaying in my notes, and then shape how I guide those conversations.
Like a head start.
Exactly. So it's a great tool. I'm sitting here like, I'm gonna be that much better. Because you're one-on-one, but not even just the kids, but everybody.
It's everybody.
It's universal from 5 to 35.
And that's why I said if you forget everything today is so crucial.
Yeah.
It is going to change every single conversation.
Yeah.
Just by understanding these. So here's the blue. I happen to be blue, so ask me any questions you want. Safety, sensitivity, support, space, and silence. So safety is being able to trust their surroundings and relationships. So for children, this is not only emotional, but it's physical.
Safety feels a lot like predictability. That there is, I know I have a nephew who is always so interested in the schedule. What are we doing today? Don't catch me by surprise. Catch me by surprise makes me feel unsafe, maybe.
Exactly.
The predictability of me knowing what's coming up.
I tell people in my office, I'm blue, and blues wake up with a pie chart. It's already pied off. Okay, I already know exactly what I'm doing at what time. So if somebody takes something from that or puts something on without my knowledge,
There's not room for that.
that can completely put me into a tailspin. So that's exactly right. You want to be able to trust. And also what we talked about in the session about just, the relationship. Most blues are a little bit private, a little reserved, because they have to be sure that you're a safe person. And that's even with children, right? So we want to make sure that we're keeping that at the forefront. Then it's sensitivity, being understood. This is the one that's misunderstood with people. It doesn't mean that they're, always crying or they're, over there pouting. It means that you hear what the blue says. You don't even have to agree with them, but you have to validate that you understand them.
That's
Especially
huge,
children.
That you can understand someone without agreeing. You don't have to agree.
Nope.
I can understand you without having to agree with you.
And they want you not to feel that you don't even necessarily have to feel their emotions, but you do have to match them. So it's like, hey, buddy, I can see you're frustrated. I can see that. I understand why the train falling off the track would be really frustrating. Okay. You don't have to agree with the train falling off the track is frustrating, right? But you've acknowledged that, and that's sensitivity to them. So sensitivity and support. Sensitivity is inward, support is outward, okay? So support is being offered or provided help. Okay. What does that mean?
That just makes me, I think about myself.
Okay.
Because I've recently got married about 2.5 years ago. So I was a single mom for 23 years with my boys. And then I got married, and that is huge for me. Like these two, the sensitivity and the support is so imperative for me. And especially to see you identify them as inward and outward. One of the biggest challenges my husband and I had when we got married was him, because I think my husband's a red.
Okay.
But
That's why we're getting along so well over here.
but it's him hearing how I feel and giving me the space to share it. Because I feel like you're not trying to understand me if you don't take the time to listen and hear it all. And I think reds have this attention span that's just like, look, get to it. And I want to...
Give me the bottom line.
I want to not necessarily even emote, but when you see even the word sensitive, you said they're misunderstood.
Yes.
I'm not sitting around crying all the time, but my husband, those are the words that he's like, you're so sensitive. You need to quit being so sensitive. I'm like, you're telling me to not be me. Like, you married me. Like, you got to get this, But it is, and I'm just sitting here like, wow. I worked so hard to accept that that's not wrong with me. Because I thought that was wrong with me for so long. And once I got to a space where I was like, I'm okay. It's okay that I'm sensitive. And so when somebody contradicts that or makes it seem like it doesn't have value, it's like, you just want to, no, you're not going to, and then you can get combative even, like, no, you're not going to take this away from me. So you feel like you have to fight. And then even with the last one that you haven't even talked about, I'll find myself just going away.
Silence. Well, let's just talk about it. It's space and silence. Having time to decompress, process, or think. Okay? This can look different for different blues. Some of them is silence is literally silence. Like they want to be in a room and it's silence. Other blues I've heard, they can be at a football game in the bleachers, but they don't want anybody talking to them. Like they just want to be invisible. And that's their space and silence.
Yeah, that's
right?
not me.
Right? But let's go ahead and see what it might look like for a blue child. Let's watch this. Do you worry about anything?
I do.
Tell me what you worry about.
Sometimes, it's especially gas stations.
Really?
whenever we go to gas stations and one of my parents or something like that is going into the station to get something,
Okay.
I worry about them because gas stations are very sketchy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're concerned for their
I
safety?
am concerned, yes.
Yeah. So if they didn't come out for a little bit, what would you do?
I would stay put because I have to make sure that they're safe.
Okay.
And if there's a lot of people in there, I wouldn't go in case there is some issue because I think that they can handle themselves.
Yeah. That the safety thing's big, huh?
It is.
What do you think about like big crowds or noise or anything?
I'm not a big fan of noise.
Yeah.
I like it quiet. I like a quiet space where I can just be free and not have anybody else to tell me what to do.
Yeah. And what about crowds? Like, I mean, you just said space. I guess I mean, what about noise and chaos?
I deal with noise every day. Our class is called the Zoo Crew.
Really? Mm-hmm. So how's that land with you?
Not great.
Yeah.
The only reason that most kids in my class don't finish their work is because they're talking.
Really? And what are you doing?
I'm working.
Yeah.
I try and zone out.
You just try to block them right out when you're doing that?
I try and get the back of the class.
Oh, really? And because that's...
The safest, really, because everybody wants the front because they can see. I think the back is better.
Okay. And so you do what's best, right? Oh my gosh. So much that I saw in that video, in that interview, reminded me of my blue son. Because when he was very little, there's a certain grocery store that gives out free cookies. Okay. There was no way this little boy was going to walk up and get his free cookie. We would go in there, and of course, my yellow daughters, Mom, we were going to go to the free cookie. And I would say to my son, do you want a cookie? And he'd be like, that's it. I mean, just looking at it, and I would go, does that mean you want one? And he's like, no. And I go, what's really holding you back? See, I'm trying to show him sensitivity and support.
That's a great question. What is holding you back?
What's holding you back? And he said, well, they might talk to me. And then if they talk to me, I go, okay, so what would happen?
Let's play that out.
I would have to talk back. And I was like, okay, well, and that's where the innate needs come in. I was able to be sensitive to him. I understood, hey, that can be scary. And I'm going to offer you some support. How about I walk with you and I'll stand behind while you... And he goes, let me think about it, and then maybe we'll practice next time. We'll practice at home, and then we'll do it next time. Do you see? So understanding their wiring and what they say about these innate needs, crucial in every conversation, right? Now, to this day, will he go up there and get a cookie? Not necessarily, but he can do it. He does have the skills to do it now. So let's talk about the green innate needs, the phlegmatic needs. Harmony, feeling of worth, lack of stress, and respect. So remember, there's one that's inward and there's one that's outward. So inward is feeling of worth, outward is respect. So let's talk about those definitions. Harmony, everyone getting along and everything going smoothly. How's that feel?
Awesome.
Does that feel awesome to you?
You said in the first session that you will even get in between the conflict sometimes with your own kids.
Well, I think I'm trying to solve it, but really I'm looking for harmony in those relationships. I can totally see that.
Let's talk about feeling of worth first. Being valued for their unique strengths. Okay, this means that something like, okay, maybe a child's part of a team, and then one day they miss a practice or they miss a game. If they go back and the coach says, gosh, little Green, we missed you. You were really...
You mattered to this team.
mattered to that. Like, we even if they won, we won, but I'm telling you, your skills were missed. A lot of people asked about you. Being valued for their unique strengths because they bring kindness.
You can feel their little love tanks.
Understanding.
Just fill it
Exactly.
up.
Right? Does that everybody good with the green feeling of worth? Because it's values the key word there. They want to be valued.
Feels like the green might feel invisible. And so that feeling of worth lets the green know hey, you matter. We recognize you.
Because remember, we
powerful.
said there are not a lot of words with these greens. They're introverts, right? And they have a tendency to not always advocate for themselves. So we're trying to get them to advocate for themselves. And they're so peaceful. When you read through the strengths and weaknesses of a green, they're peaceful, they're kind, they're calm, they're stable. So it can almost feel like they get lost. They fall through the cracks, right? So for somebody to actually say, you were missed, you're valued, there you go, feeling of worth. Lack of stress, this is one of my favorite ones. The absence of conflictive or combative words. It didn't say you got a lot of work to do or this or that. How the world tells us stress is. For a green, all it is the absence of conflictive or combative words.
Words specifically.
Words specifically. Right? Why is your eyebrows are, your body language, Rachel, is so
Your
loud.
Well, that just all
Yeah.
resonates with me.
Does it? Tell me about that. Tell me about the lack of stress, the combative and conflictive words.
I think you spoke earlier about how words are a gift, and I think that's really true, what we speak. And I do think that I think about and speak out of trying to be kind and thinking of other people. When you said about, the team missing and the coach saying, it's what I hear is you matter to us because people matter to me. And I think about other people so often and what I'm saying to them, that to have that reflected back just feels really valid.
Valid. I love that. It's like it's
An innate need.
Yeah. And then respect, being asked for their thoughts and opinions. Now, this is a temperament that may appear indecisive, but we don't want to stop that from asking their opinion, because this is also a temperament that struggles to advocate for themselves. So on one hand, when they're in my office, I'm teaching them to step up and advocate and believe in themselves.
And be assertive in their communication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you know somebody that's a green now,
Right.
now we're responsible to love them better.
Because it's real easy, for our green, it's real easy to be like, oh, well, she's good either way. Like, she'll be
She'll
fine.
just go with the crowd.
Because she will. But to stop and really advocate for her by
Yes.
saying, hey, we want to know your opinion on this.
Exactly. Will immediately fill respect. Because if she has an opinion, she'll tell you. If she doesn't not care where you go to dinner, she'll say,
I don't care.
I really don't care. I don't care. But,
So when you say you don't get, you don't
Need it.
Yeah, when I say I don't care, I don't care. I have learned to say I don't have a preference. That's actually received a lot differently. I think that my husband is red, and he really wants me to have an opinion, wants me to assert that, and sometimes that's challenging because I just don't care. But if I say I don't have a preference, that's helpful.
yeah. So I'm assuming you relate to.
Oh, I'm green.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
got to be green.
You've got to be green. You've got to be full green. So that's very interesting. Let's watch and see what a green child might look like. What stresses you out?
Home-wise, conflict, and if there's any I can feel the tension. I'm like, oh no, I have to go up and read.
Probably people having conflict, drama,
Oh,
people being mad at me.
okay. What stresses you out most?
My siblings. When I'm trying to watch TV, they're always screaming and wrestling across the floor.
What about if you hear your sisters arguing in another room? Is that stressful?
Sometimes when my mom says, do this, they're like, you do it, you do it. I just do it so the argument could stop.
Yeah. What if people around you, all of a sudden, they are just at each other?
Well, try and step in and calm each other down and see where they're coming from and stuff like that.
You just don't fight with your friends?
Even if we do, I try to end it as soon as possible.
Because?
I don't want to have tension between me and my friends.
Yeah. Do you feel like you get respect at your house?
Not so much.
Yeah.
Just because they were so used to me being the peacemaker and just being like, okay, fine, like I'll get the short end of the stick as long as you are happy with like your side. And so they just got used to that.
Since I'm the middle sibling, it's always my older brother and my younger sister who are best friends, and I get pushed out of the way.
Do they even hear you?
Nope.
Nope.
So I don't feel very respected then, but I kind of just deal with it.
Yeah. How do you deal with it?
Ignore it.
So, does that sound like you? Does that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all the way back, and I'm sure, as you said, probably all the way through the rest of my life. There's no denying it now. I mean, I've always wanted to please the adults in my life and for them to, I mean, the worst thing would be for them to be disappointed in me.
Right.
But I've also looked for lack of stress. When you say that, I think about maybe not the best story of my childhood, but
Oh, please share.
it's a great one. I learned a lot for sure. But when my mom went back to work when I was about 12, and so I was in middle school, and I have a younger brother who's 4 years younger than me. So we were at home in the afternoon. So we'd come home and be alone for a couple of hours. And I was done. Like I said, my son is usually done after he gets home from school. And I just wanted to veg out. And so I would turn on the TV, and before I knew it, the time had passed, and my mom got home. And my mom would leave me a list of things that needed to be done, homework certainly, but some other things to keep us busy during those couple of hours.
You're like,
and
Mom,
somehow,
Mom, I'm watching Oprah.
yeah, I don't remember the
says.
shows, but and at that point you couldn't call anything up on Netflix, so you had to watch what was on. But I would do that, and my mom was frustrated about that. They wanted me to kind of put the work before relaxing, and so they gave me a really stern talking to, and you need to do these things first, and then you can relax. And then the next day would come, and I would come home, and I just didn't want to do it. And so I would turn on the TV, and those were in the days of the tube TVs. And so I remember my dad coming in, and I had turned off the TV. I thought I had enough time to get everything done at the last minute, and I didn't. And he came in, and I remember him walking over to the TV and placing his hand on the TV. And of course, it was warm because there was no. He was smarter than me. And I thought I had him fooled, that I had gotten everything done, or done enough, and I hadn't. And so it just continued with that, and I just continued lying. And even remember that they put the TV into a closet, and I was so defiant, but quietly so.
Yes.
And ran an extension cord to the closet. I know, it's terrible. And plugged it in.
You seem like you have so much respect for this.
I love it. I love it when a plan comes together.
But I just kept, when I think about lack of stress, I just really wanted some time, and I know probably it was stressful to be there by myself, or it was stressful to try and come home and get right to work again, what felt like work to my 12-year-old self. And I just wanted to let go and relax. And I always thought that I could pull it out in the end. And I just couldn't.
Just couldn't. And it's very interesting that you said you would wait till the last minute. Because remember, a couple sessions ago, we said Greens either do it at the beginning or they try to do it at the end, right? And again, just different words maybe from your dad. Because here's the thing, a lot of times that green child is labeled as lazy because they move at a slower pace. But that can sting for a green child. Like, those words can sting. So he may not have used that with you, but I just want to make sure we're understanding the whole spectrum of greens and exactly if it's landing with you. I want to try to give you all the tools. So tell me, anybody else?
For sure. I mean, our middle child, I've talked about her a little bit. Her name's Sally, and she just is, I connect with all of that and just see how it's just been so insightful. Even I feel very motivated to help give her a voice.
That's wonderful.
And to really help her find, to help her experience that sense of worth. Because I see it in her, and I know she's supremely talented, but she just is so harmonious. She wouldn't ever disrupt anything to try to
Lift herself up.
No, she
Yeah.
definitely would not.
I know. And that's why I think greens are my favorite, really. What your teacher said to me about the F plus was a perfect example of the framework that I use and I've used for decades. It was written thousands of years ago, but I truly believe it is the best outline that you can use for communication. It's the best framework that you can do to pick your words. And it says this: do not let any unwholesome words come out of your mouth. Only what builds others up according to their needs and benefit all who listen. And I love that. It's you can break it down into 4 sections, but simply put, it says, and you might want to write this down, avoid hurtful words. Say helpful words. Know what somebody needs to hear. Remember, words are powerful. And somebody's listening.
Especially the kids.
Well, that's the whole idea, right? That's the whole idea. Because this is a tall order and it's a process. But again, while you work with me, this is something that I'm really passionate about. And what I'm passionate about is that you learn the temperaments to the core and you understand that it's learning different languages, because the worst thing you could do is doing the temperaments. I don't want this to be something you do. I want you to be so fluent that it just becomes who you are. That you can pause and speak another language to a person without hesitation, so that you leave that person feeling more understood and more loved, because you took the time to understand the words that they needed to hear, and then you chose to use those words to build them up. Even if Rachel decided to really implement this in a class setting, you know, the power it could have to a parent that's never heard it, and that she singles out their child and tells them what an amazing leader they are and how they really helped, you know, delegating the work to the other students and then showing them how to do it. Okay. That builds that little red child up, and the parents hear it and the child's beaming, you know, that's going to benefit even that parent.
Well, you flipped how I think of communication on its ear, really, because I think I'm supposed to communicate clearly enough so somebody gets my point and convince them that my way is right.
All right, so they do what I need them to do.
No unwholesome talk. And then you said their needs, right?
Yes.
Their needs. And I'm like, wait a minute. They're supposed to think of my needs. And I'm supposed to communicate it well enough where they want to participate. So you just changed the way I have to communicate. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I love
That's
how
what I
it
said.
changes, like as a teacher on grade cards, whatever. Saying something to them about their needs. You know, not just looking at the class as a whole, but seeing the individual is really powerful.
And again, that can seem to a green, if you end up being a green, a little overwhelming with 15 kids. But I'm telling you, practice, practice. So what we're going to do today is we're going to apply and we're going to practice. There's a challenge in your book that I would like you to do tonight. It's a how-to guide on how to meet the needs of the children around you. Okay? Spoiler alert for next session. Children have a tell when their innate needs are running low. Next session, I'm going to let you know what that is.